Hi there, I'm Michelle the Painter. Today I'm going to be teaching you how to paint flowers 3 different ways. I hope you enjoy. Alright, so for my materials today, I'm going to be using 3 stretched and primed 10-inch by 20-inch canvases. If you're painting along, you can certainly switch up these sizes because this is just a fun abstract floral painting, so have fun with whatever size or sizes of canvases that you'd like to use. I'm going to be using acrylic paint today. My colors are titanium white, ultramarine blue, deep yellow, fire red, Mars black, green oxide, and burnt umber, which I like to call brown. And I took some brown and mixed it with white to create this tan color. I'll be using this as my base color for all 3 canvases to start the process. So that's what I'll be using for paint. For my tools today, I have 3 brushes from my personal brush line, which is Michelle the Painter brushes. I have a 1-inch wide flat bristle brush. I have a number 6 bright synthetic brush, and then I have a number 2 round synthetic brush. I might refer to these as small, medium, and large, but during the painting process I will definitely call them out as I use them. And of course you can switch those up. If you're painting along with me, you're probably going to want to have a cup of water for washing your brushes, as well as a paper towel for drying your brushes. And down below this video, in the video description, I will provide you with a couple of additional resources that can help you throughout your painting process. I will be providing you with a link to my shop where you can purchase things individually, like the brushes from my brush line, which will be similar materials to what I'm using. And then I also will put a link for a free image of the final painting that you can download and print and use as visual reference if you want to follow along through the process. And that's all we're going to need today. So I guess it's just time to get started painting. So what I'm going to do for my first step is I'm going to be using that large brush, my large bristle brush, and that custom tan color that I created. And I'm just creating a flat coat on each one of these canvases. So this way I'll have a nice neutral type of color that I'll be able to build my floral design on top of. I could be using white as my base coat, but I wanted to have a little bit of sunshine on some of the petals of my flowers. So going with a little bit darker of a base coat to provide me with that contrast in the petals when I want to put some little white and sunshine on my petals, this will help to make that pop out. And as you're doing this base coat, if you wanted to, you could certainly wrap this color around the edges of each canvas. That would allow for the entire project to look really nice and complete, because if you are planning on doing the 3 canvases as I did, you could hang these on your wall right next to each other so you wouldn't see the edges of them, or you can separate them and make them just a complementary decorative type of wall art display, and therefore you would see the sides of them. And if you paint the edges of the canvas, you won't feel the need to put a frame around it. That will definitely make it look nice and finished along the edges, as if it's a really professional and higher quality painting or product, I should say. I like to pay the same amount of attention on my canvases on the front and on the side, so it looks like, you know, I've just paid as much attention and created a fully rendered project as opposed to just a partial project. But that would only matter if you're not planning on framing it. So that'll be up to you. And as far as this base coat goes, what I'm doing, you can see I'm adding the paint onto it in a pretty generous manner, with just kind of going quickly. I'm not worried about it being too thin, but I am kind of layering on the base. And then once I've got the whole canvas covered, you may have noticed on the other 2 canvases, what I like to do is I'll just take my brush and do these nice long full sweeps across the canvas. This will level out all of that paint. This is a great covering color, so you won't really have to contend with too much streaking or anything like that. But these nice long strokes while the paint is still wet will give you a nice smooth look. And I am going to have to blow dry my canvas before the next step, so that's going to be a part that I fast forward through. So I'm gonna use this same brush for the next step, but I gotta blow dry it in between, so I'll be right back. All right, so now that my canvas is dry, what I'm going to be doing for the next step is I'm going to be creating this really complementary, just abstract background. I'm going to be using probably all of my colors except for black. I'm not sure if I'm going to use my brown either. I'm going to use my brown. So all my colors except for black. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be having pretty light centers with my tan color, and then I'm going to have just out of focus complementary blues and yellows and greens along the bottom, and maybe just diffusing those colors around the top edges, just so we can have some sort of border and abstract feel to it. So I'm going to start with some of my tan and just make sure I have a good center area, making sure it's fully covered in all of them. Center top is kind of where I'm going with this second coat of my tan in through here. Just make sure I've got a nice coverage in through there. And then what I'm going to do once I've got this on, so again, just kind of making sure I have a good center fully rendered in through there. So now I'm just going to start to add my tan, yellow, white, green, blue, red down towards the bottom. So I'm going to pick up some tan, white, and maybe a touch of yellow, something like this. And I'm just going to start to increase these soft tones. Pick up a little bit more tan just to make sure that that kind of blends in. And you can have all of these canvases look different from one another, or you can make them look the same. That'll be totally up to you. So that was tan, white, and yellow. So I feel like I'm going to do that a little bit to the next one as well. Tan, white, and yellow, just down towards this portion. And I'm really just having fun giving it some soft vertical type of brush strokes. The next one, again, tan, white with a little bit of yellow, but maybe this time I put a little bit more down in this right-hand corner. These are going to be 100% up to you how you want to explore these kind of abstract tones in here. I think now I'm going to pick up tan, white, and a touch of red, and this is going to give me maybe a little bit of pinkish type of tones throughout here. Again, not even necessary if you don't want to, just something that's going to really please your own eye. So tan, red, a little bit of white, maybe just put some of that in through here, trying to make them look a little bit different from one another. Tan, red, a little bit of white, maybe this one's got a little bit more in through here. Again, just whatever you're feeling, make it into a fun and abstract type of exploration. And then once I've got that color, now I think I'm going to go into a little bit of green. So tan, green, and white, and you can probably detect the process I'm going through right now. I'm just using the tan and the white to help kind of neutralize whatever color I decide to introduce into this abstract kind of world down below. But again, you can make yours more or less, lighter, darker. I'm gonna, in a second, use a little bit of my blue as well with brown to put in a couple of maybe darker tones in there, but anything that you want, allowing for a good coverage throughout. So that's pretty good. Now I'm gonna pick up my blue, brown, and a touch of white. And I haven't washed my brush. So this is where the intermingling of the colors on your brush are going to allow you to get this really soft, abstract type of appearance. If you want the blue to be less blue, but you still want it in there, you can use it with green and a touch of brown, and that's going to give you a little bit more of a bluish green tone, which I am going to be using a little bit in some of the flowers, so that would definitely help to complement what you're going to be doing or what I'm going to be doing later in my flowers. You can get it to go darker if you want. So if I want a little bit darker, I can back off on the white and just put a little bit darker tones down in through here. So that's going to be 100% up to you, however you want it to go. If the softer you want it, the more paint you could use. If you're using more paint, it's going to allow it to kind of blend in with each other a little bit more. So again, blue, brown, green is where I'm kind of headed with these darker tones. Ooh, I just picked up yellow too. That was unintentional, but we're just going to roll with it because that's what you can do on an abstract painting. Just enjoy the process, allowing for all of these colors to just kind of intermingle. You could even, with the remnants on your brush, you could just kind of encapsulate some of these corners or around the edges, whatever is visually appealing to you. You just want to roll with it. I'm digging that pink into there. That might end up being my favorite one. So once you've got this done, we are going to be using, I'm going to use my bright brush for the next step. So you can continue to add, subtract, enhance, whatever you want on these guys. And then once you've got it into a place that is visually appealing to you, you can wash and dry this brush and you can get ready for the next step. So, because I'm just gonna move right on to the next step. I'm just gonna, oh, I said wash and dry this brush. I don't need to wash and dry it because I'm not gonna use that brush. So for the next step, I'm gonna be doing a base coat for my flowers, but I have a little, I'm just noticing now I have two little spots that I want to hit on my background because they look a little unfinished before I hit those flowers. I'm using my large brush again. I got a couple of unfinished spots up here, so we're going to just tackle those to make my painterly eye happy before I move on to the next step. That looks good. So I'm just looking it over now. Now that I noticed there was one unfinished spot, now I have to inspect it for any other unfinished spots. There we go. I think I got them all now. All right, so what I'm going to do for my next step is I am using that bright brush to create a base coat for my flowers, for the flower heads. I'm going to do them with just white, and then we'll add some color later. So I'm going to do like 2 tulips on this one and 2 various types of daisies on these 2 in through here. You, of course, can make yours whatever way that you want. So my tulips. Now, my paint may not be fully dried underneath. I'm okay with that at this point because I'm just doing this abstract rendition. I might end up wanting to dry it later, but right now I'm just going to give myself, let's say I'm going to start somewhere in through here. This is about halfway. I'm going to go maybe somewhere in through here. I'm giving myself this big horseshoe kind of shape for this tulip over here, and I'm going to just kind of bump some little shapely petal edges up the top, something like this, and then I'm just going to paint this in with a thin layer of white paint right now. This white paint is going, and of course you can see where my paint is still wet underneath, so I'm getting some areas that are going to be mixing with that tan. Totally okay. This is just my base coat. I'm using this as a way to get some nice brightness to the colors in the tulip. So that's going to be my first one. I'm going to put a second one kind of behind it a little bit, and I'm going to bring this one maybe down in through. We're going to go somewhere in through here like this, and then this one's going to be kind of sitting behind it, so I'm going to just give myself these little kind of pointy edges. I want to know where these 2 meet, so I'm just going to leave a little bit of an edge in through there, and then I'm just going to paint this like this. So that's going to be the base for those 2. I'm going to have a daisy over on this side, so this is going to go almost straight in the center of here, and the kind of top of it, I'm going to have, I would say somewhere in through here, or the center of the top, and I'm going to have these really fun petals. It's kind of, we're kind of seeing this one from the side, so I'm going to have this one something like this, and then we're just going to have a whole bunch of petals kind of splaying upward, and these are going to be skinnier petals, so something like this. And then maybe we've got something in through there. And then I've got some, so if this is the center, I'm going to have some coming down in through here. Let me just kind of eyeball where I want this to be, something like that. And of course, make yours into whatever you want. Mine are really abstract and loose. When I say abstract, I'm definitely, they're representational kind of abstract. They're not, if you couldn't tell what they were, then that would be totally abstract. But these are definitely representational, which to me is a fun way to paint because the pressure's off. The pressure's off from having to do it really perfect. You just get to kind of feel the paint and enjoy the process and make it into something that is maybe stimulating to you visually, fun to paint, whatever you want. So I'm thinking that that's good for the shape of that one. And then I'm going to have this one where we're going to kind of see the center of it a little bit. So I'm going to have the center maybe somewhere in through here. And then I'm going to have some petals going upward on the other side. And this one's going to be, we're going to have this one really pretty darn tall. I'm just kind of giving myself a couple anchoring petals so I know where I want this to go. I'm going to have a big fun one kind of coming out this side and through here. And then we're going to have some of the petals kind of coming up like this, something like that. And I know it doesn't look like a flower right now. So we got a couple more petals to go. I got one in through here, and then we got one down in through here. So this one's got some petals kind of going upward and downward, and we're going to have some fun with showing kind of the bottom and top side of this one. And then let's see, this one I think I want a little bit wider, and then I've got one kind of snaking underneath here. There we go. And then I've got some fun ones kind of just, these are going to be really big and really fun. So something like this. So this is definitely a bigger, more energetic kind of flower. And of course your petals can overlap one another. There we go. So that's going to be, and I'm going to kind of, I feel like I want to just leave this base right in through there dark so I don't get confused. And then what I'm going to do, I feel like that's going to be all one petal. So once I've got those bases on, what I can do, I'm going to wash and dry this brush, and I'm going to go in for my stems and my abstract little leaves. So I'm going to use my green, brown, yellow, blue, black. That'll probably be the dominant colors that I'm going to use. I'm going to start with green, brown, and black on my brush. And I definitely want one in through here. Let's see, I'm going to have these guys kind of come in here and maybe here. So you can, as you're doing this, again, it's all about having fun. So know that whatever I'm doing, I'm picking up some yellow too. Whatever I'm doing, you can certainly just use it as inspiration. You don't have to make yours exactly as mine. Mine is just something that is being created with my own fun thoughts and how I want to see this look. I feel like I want to bring some of this blue in, so I'm just picking up some of my blue. So as you're going through the process, if you're saying, oh, I like that blue, I like that black, I like that whatever, incorporate it. I feel like I want to do some leaves now. So green, brown, maybe I'll take this one and pull this one. Let's see, we're going to go like this. This one's going to go right in front. I'm going to pick up a little bit of black to kind of allow this to show in front of that stem. And you might find, like, once you get this on here, you may want to do another layer to it. Maybe I pick up a little bit of white, green, and yellow and do like a little kind of highlight over on this side of the leaf. But don't force yourself to make it realistic. This is intended to be a loose, fun, have, green, yellow, blue, white. Have fun with this. Make, maybe one of these kind of just, maybe I've got another one that comes out and just kind of brings itself over in this direction. So just know that it doesn't have to be one specific color green. It doesn't have to be one specific color flower. These are just intended to have you enjoy the process. I'm picking up green, black, yellow, white, blue, anything. Just something that's going to give you the shape, give you some colors that you like, make it your own. I'm just allowing for these fun colors to maybe talk to each other a little bit. You might find that you want to do more than one layer. Maybe one layer works for you. I'm gonna, while these are drying, I do need to put some underneath these guys, but I feel like I want those to, well, they're actually dry. They're dry enough for me. I'm just going for it. So I have green, yellow, black, brown on my brush, green, yellow, blue, black, just colors to make the bottom portion of my leaves at the bottom of my tulip. So I'm going to pick up a little bit more black to get this to kind of go into here. So this is where, you know, finding your explorative kind of way when doing abstract. I feel that abstract is, it can be really challenging for those of us who like things to be really perfect and have system and order and all that good stuff that, you know, we learned the fundamentals of painting, and it's like, it's tough to stray. It's tough to give ourselves the liberty to just have fun and play and stuff. And doing a painting like this really just lets you say, oh, I just want a little more darkness there. I want a little bit more blue there. And it lets you be a little bit freer. I'm going to bring one down in through here. So this one, I think I'm going to, and again, any colors go. I'm just trying not to use maybe my red, I guess, in my stems, but you could totally use red in your stems if you wanted to. I'm going to pick up a little bit more blue and white as I come down to the bottom of this one. Something like that. Maybe we have a big one kind of, let's go up, up and away. I'm going to have a blue leaf in through here. Maybe this blue leaf is going to tie to my blue flower on the other one. So again, just fun stuff, allowing for everything to just be incorporated whatever way is visually appealing to you. Green, blue, yellow, white is going on my brush right now. Maybe a little bit of black too to give myself maybe a nice fun one that kind of comes over here, maybe a little bit darker so I can have it complement that guy over there. So we're going to go like this. And if you come to a point where your colors are blending too much, you're not enjoying the outcome because they're just seemingly all one color, then take a break, wash your brush, come back with another layer, or maybe a different, well, that's getting a little too hairy for me, so we're just going to pull that. There we go. Come back with a different layer of paint, whatever you want to do, if again that is pleasing to your eye, because that's the whole goal of this, the fun and the pleasing of the eye. Maybe you get a bonus out of it. So that looks pretty good to me. I'm going to go over to this one over here. So I do feel like I want to wash my brush. That's probably where that whole discussion came from, because I feel like I want to wash my brush right now. It feels a little overloaded. So I think I'm going to start again with my green, black, yellow. I think that's where I'm going to start. I'm going to put this right up and through here, and this is going to just kind of come, I'm going to make this one kind of come down like this. And if you want to have that long brush stroke, I'm going green, yellow, brown, and white this time. A little bit of water on your brush will definitely allow for a longer brush stroke. But that also thins out your paint and makes it look a little bit streaky. So if you're going through the process and you don't necessarily want that streakiness, you could do a couple of things. You could either use thicker paint, or let that first layer dry and then come back with another layer on top of it. But again, think abstract here. Don't feel like you have to put that pressure on yourself to make every single thing have that beautiful polished look to it. I feel like I want to put a little kind of stem up the middle of this one. There we go. Just again, enjoying that process is what something like this is really all about. Green, yellow, white. Again, I'm just having fun, so whatever kind of happens here, I know that I'm going to be okay with, because that's why I'm doing this painting. I'm going with a little bit of blue and white on my dirty brush, so I can put maybe a little out of focus, or maybe a leaf that kind of looks like it's set a little bit back because we've got the blues elsewhere. So you can certainly do that if you want to. So that looks pretty good to me. I feel like I'm gonna need to go a little bit darker underneath here. So just wiping my brush off, picking up a little bit more black, brown, black, green, and yellow. And I'm just gonna kind of pull up some little shadows up in between these little petals in through here. I think that looks pretty good, just because this is gonna be the bottom of that. That looks pretty good. So that's a good start. I'm coming over to this one here and putting some color on my petals. So I have the white. I'm washing my brush. I'm still using my 6 bright. I'm going into some white to accentuate some of these tips up and through here. So I'm going for kind of a backlit type of look to my petals, as if the sunshine is kind of lighting them from behind. So I'm giving these edges and the tips the brightest little marks, and then I'll pull in some pretty colors in the in through here. So if I wanted to kind of just come towards the darkness on my side over here, I can use my my tan with a touch of black. This is going to give me just a little bit of a gray type of a tone, and this can help me kind of separate out some of my petals. Maybe I put this in through here and bring it down, right down into where that those leaves are coming. And again, I'm thinking abstract here. I'm not thinking I've got to make this perfect. I just really want to give the freedom to myself to enjoy this process. So again, this is tan plus a tiny bit of black, giving myself just a little bit of a dull gray type of a look, allowing for, it's going to be separating these guys. I'm going to put some pink, some blue on in a minute. But you can see just by doing these, well, that was a little dark, that's okay. By doing these darker colors on this side, it's going to make those tips look even brighter. So that looks pretty good. And now I'm going to put some color on it. So my color choice is going to be blue, but I could use also a little bit of red too, to make like a purpley type of look. So I'm going to start with just a little bit of blue plus a touch of water on my brush to almost use it as if it's like a glaze of sorts. And this will give me a nice soft appearance to it without it going too bold. Again, totally up to you. You could want your tulips to be extremely blue. You could want them to be whatever you want. It's totally up to you. I'm putting a little bit more down in through here. And again, just allowing for some fun. Maybe now's the time I use a tiny bit of red plus my blue. That's going to give me a little bit of kind of a purpley type of look. Anything you want. This is up to you. Explore your own pleasures when it comes to the visual side of this. Maybe there's a little petal kind of coming up in through there. That looks pretty to me. I'm going to put some of this blue over here on the left side. And again, I'm going for, my petals, I'm kind of overlapping these colors, so they might end up looking a little transparent, which is super cool too. You can have, tulips will tend to have, their petals kind of overlapping one another. You can make it darker if you wanted, a little bit more blue inside those little crevices, maybe a little bit more red. Again, anything that is visually appealing to you can work. I think that the bottoms could be a little bit darker. While I'm here, I just picked up a little bit more black just to kind of push that back a little bit. That looks pretty. So I'm going over to this guy over here. I've got a dark center, and then I've got some like yellowy orange type of petals. So I'm going to start again with my white, same brush, this bright brush, just making sure the ones that I want to be white are the lightest, and those are going to be just these little tips over in through here, and I've got some light edges over there. That looks fine to me. And then I want kind of like a yellowy orange color. So I have a little bit of white in my brush. I'm just taking a little bit of red and yellow and giving myself a little bit of an orangey tone, and then adding a tiny bit of brown to it, so it makes it a little bit more of a neutral type of a color as opposed to a really bright orangey color, something like that, kind of like a dull rusty color. And you can use it with a combination of white in order to give you this really pretty color. And all the petals don't have to be the same color, so if you want one to be a little bit darker, don't add white, just use a little bit of the darker tone. I want that center to be a little bit darker, so I'm picking up a little bit of brown to just give me a little bit of a dark center in there. Wipe my brush off, pick up a little bit of that rusty color with a little bit of white. And you could also put more yellow, so if I want a little bit more yellow and white, again, this is your combination. So I just put a little bit of yellow and white in through here, a little bit of that orangey tone. Give myself all these fun colors to this daisy, something like that. I can certainly bring these guys into whatever color I want. If I want them lighter or darker, I'm leaving some of these light edges in through there. I think that this needs to be a little bit, just fully bring these to the edges. There we go. I'm going to pick up a little bit of black and brown right now to get a little bit darker center in through here. So black and brown, I'm tapping it with my brush. Black and brown is going to give me this nice dark little center area, something like that. And if you felt that you wanted to increase any of those shadows, I can use a little bit more red and brown and yellow on my dirty brush. So red, brown, and yellow. This is going to give me a little bit deeper tone with that black that I had on my brush, and I can pull out some little shadows and stuff in between these petals and just give that, I'm going to put some lighter little, what are they called? The stamens. There we go. The little stamens in a second, but just kind of pulling out some of these darker colors in between. That looks pretty to me. And then I'm going to pick up a little bit of red, yellow, and white on my brush and give myself some of these fun little stamens in the center, a little bit more red and yellow, give myself some vibrancy in through here. And if you wanted to, you could pick up a tiny bit of white just to give yourself some little pops of brightness in through there. And of course you can fiddle with that as much as you want. I'm washing my brush to go to this other guy over here. I'm going to have, this one is going to just be white. So I'm going to use probably white and black. Will create a tiny bit of a gray color. So I just mix some white and black to give me where I want to have some gray tones. So I'm going to have some gray underneath here, wherever I want to show the underside of those petals. I'm going to pull this in through here. You can have it darker if there's any areas that you feel could go a little bit darker, maybe. So this is kind of coming up. Maybe I've got a dark side over in through here, maybe even a little bit darker than that. Sometimes I'm a little bit too cautious. There we go. That does it. That gives me my darkness that I want, something like this. And of course you could be using the smaller brush as well, but I'm picking up some more black to tap in this center area in through here. I am going to be using some blue in this flower as well, but first I just want to kind of get these layers in. I just wipe my brush off. I'm picking up a little bit more white on my brush just to get little bits of shadow in some of these, but not too much. Just a little bit in through there just so we can have a little bit of color in those guys. And then this one definitely needs a whiter edge, so picking up some extra white to give this a whiter edge. So this little petal right here sits in front. So if you, on mine, so if you want yours to do the same, you got to put the color behind it a little bit darker, and that'll get it to pop out a little bit more. I'm going to, before I finish this one, I'm going to pick up some of my blue, yellow, and white, kind of mix it together on my palette, and going to give myself some little stipples in through here, maybe a little bit more blue. Just give myself a nice fun center to this one. And of course you can, again, make yours whatever you want. Yours can be way brighter or darker than mine. I just thought that this would look nice and complementary to the flowers that are next to it. You could add more color to these if you wanted to, but I'm thinking I need to put just a little bit more darkness maybe underneath here, just so we can allow for this to really look like it is kind of underneath that guy, and maybe same thing in here. So as I'm doing this, again, I'm playing, but I'm still want it to look, you know, like it's got some sort of semblance to it. Maybe this goes a little bit up and through there. I think that looks pretty good. This one will look like it's got a little shadow underneath there, and then you can just keep picking up a little bit of white and with that gray in order to just get these colors to blend out, and just keep picking up white to get these tips. If your tips are not as white as you want, you can always add a little bit of contrast to that white with a touch of yellow to it. So go away from where you want it to be white, and you can add just a little bit of yellow, and then that's going to make that tip where you want it the brightest to look even whiter. So this just adds that little bit of extra luminosity to it. And then you just fiddle with it. I'm feeling like that's really fun. So, you know, you could come back and add more to these other ones, maybe a little red and white, give myself a little pink over here, or purple, whatever is visually appealing to you. You could add more orange, red, and yellow to add more orange into these guys. So I would just, you know, fiddle with it. If you want it to be fiddled with, fiddle with it. And then once I've got it into a place that is comfortable to me, the last step to every painting is to sign it. So that's where my small brush is going to come into play. So I've got my number 2 round. You could sign every single one of them if you want, or you could just pick one. I think I'm going to sign this left one with brown paint. I like to sign mine with my initials, but you of course can sign yours however you want. You can sign it with the date, you can make up a fun symbol, you can hide it in your painting, you can sign it on the back, whatever works for you. And that is going to conclude this painting. I hope you enjoyed the carefree, loose process of this, and I always look forward to painting with you again sometime.